So I'm a part of this group. I'm a member of this group. It's an online group, and I have been for probably 2 years. But I read what people say in there, but I've never spoke. So the way that this is written is directed to this group of people. So that's just to let you understand why the first several sentences might seem a little odd or a little off to you. And the group of people are recovering and recovered addicts. So that's where this comes from. Spent about 4 hours on this morning in prayer and just letting the Lord lead me and write through my hands, really, because I'm not a talented or gifted writer at all, but I know He was definitely enabling me to write this.
Can everybody hear her all right? She's talking a little loud. So, did everybody hear her all right? Got 20 folks on here, Tess. So,
can they hear then?
Okay, cool.
Okay, good. All right, so I titled this From a Drunk to a Jewel. I joined this group a couple of years ago, yet have never posted anything. I've watched and read from the sidelines of the stories, the cries, the struggles, the victories, both small and great. A silent observer with much to say, yet held my peace. It wasn't my time. Today, it is. 6 years ago, I was at a major crossroads in my life. Few know of my battle, of my terror, of my self-destruction. The one that knew then kept my secret. This person was my husband. He never exploited me in any way. Nor did he ever complain or go to other people to share his grief over me and what I was doing to myself. This was not and is not a man that is apathetic and disconnected, for he tried unsuccessfully for years to plead with me and put up fences of sorts to keep me from this self-destruction. I'll never know the extent of his pain that I caused, and it breaks me down to even write this. My choices have affected more than him. It's always far more reaching than we know. I will continue with my story. My desire here is not to go into great detail of the bad things I've done. Sure, it would make a great, interesting read, but there's plenty of those out there. Instead, it's my goal to make a bold declaration to all that will take the time to read and listen of the overcoming power that awaits all who seek it. My go-to comfort was alcohol, and I used it almost daily after a hard day at work. My excuse was that I just needed it to relieve my physical pain and help me sleep, but I used it excessively. I loved the feel so much that I would eat little so it would hit me hard at the end of the day. The sooner I could feel the rush, the better. Let me just stop here and say this. I was never a person that got some sort of fulfillment out of going to church or trying to do right and be a good person. I always ended up failing miserably at it anyway. The only time I had true inner peace and victory was when I had a vibrant relationship with God. However, I had left this beautiful fellowship with Him many years prior and was now longing to be united again. But it wasn't that easy. There were many obstacles in the way, placed there by my path into deep darkness of the soul. Honey, I need to go to the grocery store. Are you coming? I stood in front of my husband, who was sitting at his computer. He nearly always accompanied me on these trips in town to watch over me. You know the gig, but this time was different. He just looked at me with such a sorrowful, almost mournful look. I could literally feel him letting go. After a long pause, he spoke. No, I don't think so. I paused also, trying to read his face. What was going on there? This is certainly not how things go. Where's the guilt trip, the probing eyes, the warnings? But I got nothing. He was detaching. Wow, how and why did this happen? I was stunned. Immediately the guilt hit me, but I brushed it off as I gave in to the exciting thought of traveling on my own and doing what I wanted to do without feeling bad about it. So I merely said, "Okay, do you need anything?" "No, I don't." He then looked away with nothing more spoken. Honestly, I couldn't get out of the house fast enough before he changed his mind, was my thinking. So I headed out for the 14-mile trip that would get me to my true love, the drink. At first, I felt pretty good, actually kind of elated, but as I proceeded onward, things began to change. I was actually quite tired of this merry-go-round, and I had tried unsuccessfully to stop this insane pattern. Every time I did, I was met with a huge battle in my flesh of shaking, sweating, insomnia. No one knew about this part, not even my husband. No one but God knew how bad I really was. Before I got to my destination, I just pray this helps people, Kenny. I really do. May it give glory to you, oh God. Before I got to my destination, I started to feel such grief over my plight. I wanted to overcome and be restored to God, my Father. I missed him and always had. Those years of doing my own thing had brought me into some terrifying, devastating, and unchangeable results that I shudder to even think about now. Grievously, some things cannot be remedied, but I must move on in this narrative. Lord help me. My destination was just ahead. I entered the intersection and with trembling hands on my steering wheel, awaited for the green light. It wouldn't be long now. I could quickly grab my much-needed groceries and also that deplorable bottle. Soon I would be back on my way home, and I could pop the top as soon as I got there. The light flashed, giving me the access to the sanctuary of my pleasure. I then took my right away and eagerly and stubbornly continued on. Quickly, I found a decent parking spot and with an unsteady gait from withdrawals, headed into the superstore. Starting at the front, I gathered up my food parcels and headed in the direction of the proud rows of sparkling bottles of dreamy escape. The intense discourse in my head or heart began. I heard two dialogues, the one of righteous freedom, the other of evil intent. The dark voice said, "You're almost there. It won't be long now." The next one was a peaceful call, almost graceful and promising in its bidding. "This is not the way." Two doors were placed before me, not in reality, but symbolically. They were certainly there. One door was easy and promised instant rewards. The other was a place of great light, but much trouble in the flesh. I passed the great aisle of temptation and reached the back of the store to gather up the remaining necessities of life. Excuse me. My acceptable list of grocery needs was now complete. I turned and headed back. The row of fermented grapes and other intoxicants stood high as a mighty strong fortress against me. I felt the massive draw like never before. I headed on, for I had a decision to make. I heard the debate again within, as I was caught in the middle of powerful truth to both sides. You know you need this. What are you going to do? What about the withdrawals? How are you going to handle that on your own? God's not answering you. The utterance of wisdom then spoke with great reasoning. He that comes to me must forsake all. I will not fellowship nor share you when you rely on other sources for comfort. There is no fellowship with light and darkness. The Great One had spoken.
Praise be to God.
I firmly planted my feet with a growing determination to heed the right call and marched forward. I passed the sinister spirits, hops and wine, much to the dismay of the dark side, no doubt. You will not get the chance to come back later. It's now or never. You know what will happen if you leave without it. No sleep, pain, shakes, all the above. Who's going to feel sorry for you? You're on your own and you know it. Just get the bottle and blissful warmth and relief will come. I heard no more encouragement from the other one, although his presence was by my side. I was, however, fully aware of all that he stood for, and the knowledge of him was just enough. I didn't even look in the direction of the beckoning calls of flavor and fun, and with each passing row, my steps were more assured and strong. I was now at the checkout line, and after placing my items on the conveyor belt, I stood in front of the casual cashier and waited. With much experience, she rapidly scanned my items and presented the total. I made the payment. But then hesitated to walk away. She looked at me and said, "Is there anything else?" I said, "Nope, that's all I need." We
Praise be
then
to God. Woo! Man, prophetic words right there.
we then exchanged the typical unmeaningful "have a good day," and I proceeded towards the door. Right before I walked out through the front entrance, he whispered one more time, "Last chance." It came like a quiet, subtle hiss. Within my heart, I spoke back, "Nope, I want God." The automatic door opened as it sensed my approach, and out into the sunshine I went, leaving behind the old life that had so ardently tried to hold me fast. As I crossed over the road in front of the store and descended upon the aisles of gleaming vehicles in front of me, something else caught my eye. Looking down, I saw two big, bold white words on the pavement, and they were this: "Your choice." Suddenly, the light bulb of clarity came on. The problem was not God, it was me all along. I was not previously willing to let go, so the power of it had remained. All he needed was my cooperation and agreement. The actual power to overcome was his, only held at bay by my unwillingness to make the choice. You see, God never forcibly takes anything from you, whether it's a girlfriend you shouldn't be with, whether it's heroin. It doesn't matter what it is that you're holding on to. Your pride, your things, your possessions, whatever holds the grip of your heart. So God never forcibly takes anything from you, for that would violate our free will. Immediately, I felt elation at the realization of this truth, and freedom instantly came upon my body. I felt it. I knew it. I was free. I floated to my car. Honestly, I did not even feel my feet on the pavement anymore. I was in a cloud of unspeakable glory. As I loaded up my car and headed down the row of parked cars, I made a sudden turn to the right and drove back up the front, parallel to where I was previously parked. I wanted to check for it. Driving past the spot where I saw the words "your choice," I scanned the ground earnestly. They were gone. There was nothing there. With much elation and enthusiasm, I drove back home to my poor waiting husband. I rushed in the door of our homestead and told him the story of what had just happened to me. He listened, but it took a little while before he could see that this was real and that God had truly done a marvelous work. What my spouse could not achieve in many years, the Lord had done in just moments. I must also tell you, dear reader, dear listener, that night I slept peacefully. No shakes, no withdrawals, no pain. I mean, zero. I was delivered. For he that the Son has set free is free indeed.